DMT is alive. This is a write-up of my very last trip on DMT for a pretty good while. I had planned on tripping that night but things didn't go as planned. I was in the tripping mood. Partially buzzed on some oxy. The euphoria was slight and relaxing. I could do any psychedelic right now and have an amazing trip. I was happy, stress-free, and content. I took my knife to both jars for a while, half trying half not. It was a small hit that I scraped up. I felt people around me. This was a different feeling than other times. They felt more human and sounded a lot like my friend Ronnie. I knew right away that this was the last of my batch, so still tripping lightly I thoroughly scraped both jars. I was not tripping when I got done. Although I had gathered quite a bit of spice and jungle spice. Finally I decided that it was time. It was a mixture 1-to-1 of spice to jungle spice. I hit it. It was smooth. Maybe a little too much water in my bubbler. I got 2 actual hits but sucked on my bubbler a little while after that. After the 2 actual hits I set the bubbler down and waited for it to kick in. I had to make sure it was all gone, so I sucked some more. The bubbler is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen that is man-made while on DMT. It looked like liquid had taken on its shape and feel and color. It is said that DMT is a water spirit. Jungle spice shows this to me more than regular spice. The DMT was calling me. It literally said that it was time for me to enjoy the trip. Yes, DMT talks. It's mostly an emotional voice in my head. Like if you looked at somebody and they had a very nasty look on their face after eating your cooking, then you would obviously know that they would be saying that the food is nasty. Although not audible, it would be very obvious to interpret. This is how DMT tells me things. I had the lights on so the DMT hallucinations would take on the color scheme of my room, which is more colorful than when the lights are off. I find the assortment of colors in my room very good for tripping on anything. Red, black, white, and more white. Very soothing. I looked at my hands. Woo. Those are not the hands I am used to. My hands were fatter, stubbier, and way more alien. They also took on the liquid quality that my bubbler did, which was really cool. I knew that this trip was special for some reason. Most of the time in high doses I find it hard to let go of this world, mainly because of fear. But this trip was different. It was almost on the verge of breaking through. But I had no fear. I felt on the come up that I had already let go, and that is what made the trip so smooth and soothing. As mentioned earlier about DMT's voice, DMT also makes audible hallucinations. They are not words but just different soft hertz buzzing that goes along with the emotional voice in my head. I remember noticing a tall purple figure in my vision similar to the Cookie Monster on Sesame Street but more dinosaurish looking in purple. I could feel that DMT's emotional voice was coming from this being. The rest of the trip was the regular DMT swirls and hallucinations. Very soothing and awesome. One last note about the trip. The euphoria and extreme sense of love coming from this being was crazy. Almost as intense as the come down of my very first strong DMT trip. The DMT hallucinations eventually folded back into the normality of this world's perceivable dimensions. Colors are still bright and exaggerated. Next thing I knew, the straw was up my nose. Up goes the magic of oxy. Here comes the euphoria train. Whoosh. DMT is alive.